Tom, you've been waiting patiently. I'm sorry that
Just
you have had to wait a bit patiently because we've stretched a little over time. Thank you so much.
like,
Welcome, Tom, a dear friend, an amazing teacher. And I'd just like to introduce Tom. He specializes in personal transformative experiences. He studied meditation, psychotherapy, mysticism, dance, and martial arts. And he's an incredible archer. And all of this has informed his research into the way we perceive the world around us and our inner landscape. So, this workshop, Being in the Field, is an exploration into where we put our awareness and our sovereignty in this action. So welcome, Tom.
thank you, Ben. It's a real pleasure to be here with you all. Yeah. So, where to start with being in the field? Well, I'll start by being here, I think. And well, it's like to say that I come to you with this sharing not as someone who has resolved all their story, has reached a high level of practice and stands before you as an enlightened being. Quite the contrary, I stand before you as a man on his journey to find himself and to be with what I am and to be with what is. This journey that I've been on in my life and continue to be on and continue to work at, there are some things along the way which have really helped guide and create a map for navigating where I have come from, what I carry, and how I relate to myself and to the world around me. And so, what I share with you are really the tools that I found have a deep resonance with me and help me in times of need and guide me in times of great connection. So, I guess to start with, what is meant by being? And there are words we use in this, and I think it's very important to be clear about what these words mean. And being may mean many things to many people. And so what I mean by being in this particular instance is when you're being with something, you become in a symbiotic relationship with it. You become what you're with. So being to me is very much a state, a quality that runs through the whole body and through the whole psyche. And it to be with something, you need to be truly present, and to be present with what's alive inside you and what's alive in the field around you, to be in a coherent resonance with phenomenon. So that's a brief introduction to what I mean by being. And I think that we know when we are being something, when we're truly being ourselves, or we're truly being the role that we are playing, or truly being a father, a mother, a brother or a sister, we can feel it in every cell in our body. And so what is meant by field? And what I mean by field is the resonance that comes from phenomena. So there is the field that I create and around me as a result of walking into a space or having a space. Then there's also the phenomenon of the space around us. It doesn't have to be an object in it. And I find this very interesting with this idea of phenomenon and field and what the field might actually be. And I think that we're all just discovering in our own way what it is, this field of life that we exist in. I think that quantum mechanics has really helped us under the cognitive and scientific side of us to understand and to rationalize what the field might be. And for them, I think there's a quote from Einstein which I like, which is that the field influences the particle. And there's some other things that I'll look at with epigenetics a bit later on, and that also talks to the field. And then also Rupert Sheldrake, he also talks to the field. So there's a great sense of our science developing this awareness of what a field might be, and this sometimes unseen space that surrounds us all and is within us all. So what I hope to look at with this idea of being in the field is, what does it take to be with all that's within and all that's around you, and to let go of needing to own that, to control it, and even necessarily to have to cognitively understand it. But that's quite far down the line, and we've got to get there step by step. So the steps that I'm going to look at today, we're going to go through 3 stages. Now, to do a lot of this work, what I have found is a great tool is the meditative art. And so there's going to be 3 meditations in this session, and these meditations are going to be a little bit longer than 1 or 2 minutes. And the idea is to actually sit with what comes up, and it's only through, this is something that I've appreciated as a dancer, is that to really appreciate movement and to really be in flow with movement, you have to find great stillness. And to really appreciate the dance of life, you have to find great stillness within inside yourself. And so this relationship between stillness and movement in this thing, there's this 2 parts that don't seem to fit together. This is what the meditation is going to do. It's going to provide us with the stillness to be able to observe the inner landscape, the inner story, and also provides us the stillness to appreciate the world around us and towards the subtle energy fields that we find ourselves in. So please, when the meditations are when we invite ourselves to sit in meditation with each other, it's not about sitting in a given position or holding a certain type of posture. It's really just about finding stillness inside yourself. And I'll talk a bit more about that later. So we're going to work with different trinities. And we're going to work through the trinity of mind, body, and heart. We're also going to work through the trinity of I, we, and all. And I'll talk a bit more about these later on. There are more trinities that could be involved in this, and the other would be environment, psyche, and the physical. And so these trinities, what they help do is they help lock into position, and with these shapes like this, which is the trinity, you have something which has equal relevance towards each other. Each angle is the same, each length is the same. It's the first time you have an enclosed space, and what this trinity does is it encloses and encapsulates the space while giving each equal importance to each aspect of it. Just to give you an example of another trinity that fits this is mother, father, child. In the middle, you have family. And so these trinities and these relationships, they're not just abstract things, they're actually experiential, relational things. And it's the relationships and the quality of the relationships in these trinities, which I find particularly useful, as well as the stabilizing factor of being able to see things in relationship and in the equanimity with each other. So we're going to start with the gateway of mind. And why do we start with the gateway of mind? Mind is often the first thing that gets in the way. The mind is often the one that goes, I don't want to listen to this. This isn't got anything for me. I don't like where he's coming from. I don't like his beard. And all of these things will kick up and play in the mind, and they stop us from really seeing what's underneath. And our mind carries a lot of stories. So with the mind, one of the tools that I think is most important in building step-by-step foundations to really sit with one's own sovereignty is presence. And this is something that I've talked a little bit about in previous workshops. And so some of you may be familiar about this. But nevertheless, I need to keep coming back to reminding myself to be present. It's not an easy faculty to develop, just like fitness. It requires work. It requires perseverance. And so with this faculty, meditation helps us to generate this faculty of presence. Stillness helps us generate the faculty of presence. And presence is one of the biggest gifts that we can give ourselves and we can give each other. When someone really turns up and is truly present with you, you feel it. When they're sitting there sort of waiting for their turn to talk, not really engaging, you also feel that. And so what we're going to invite is presence in this stage is to be present with what's alive in you. And we're going to start with looking at our own stories. So I'm going to start now with a meditation, and this meditation is the way that I've been most inspired by meditation is through the teachings of Siddhartha Gautama. And Siddhartha Gautama was one of the last, is considered to be the last Buddha, and it's from his teachings, which were encapsulated in what's called the Dharma. These teachings are not theoretical teachings, they're practical teachings. And these practical teachings start with something called Vipassana. And where I'm wary of taking on board wholesale something that existed several thousand years ago and expecting it to work in this current modern day world with the psyches that we have. Nevertheless, when you strip back all the dogma and experience what is really being shared by this being who actually encapsulated a lot of teachings that were in the field at the time. Many other teachers were teaching similar things, but he just crystallized it. And in that crystallization process helped him liberate himself. So this practice that we're going to do is the beginning of these teachings, of the experiential practice of these teachings. And why I like it is because it's extremely simple. So if you would like to take a second and find a comfortable space. Right. When you found that comfortable space, just let the body drop into it. Now, if you feel to close your eyes, that can help at this stage. Meditation isn't all about closing the eyes, but at this stage, I'd like to close the eyes so that we have a chance to look at the inner landscape and we take away the distraction of the physical world. So just closing your eyes and becoming aware of your breath. Just letting the breath be as it is. Letting it rise and fall in its own rhythm. Now bringing your awareness to the front of the nose, just below your nostrils, between your mouth. Just keeping your awareness and your focus just to that space, letting go of the rest. We're going to observe sensation. The sensation of the breath going into the nose. The sensation of the breath leaving the body. Trying to limit our awareness and our focus to just this region. Letting the breath come and pass as it chooses. Can you feel the difference in temperature between breathing in and breathing out? The more subtle the sensations, the more focused the consciousness is. Maybe you can feel a tingle of the air on your skin. Just being with what is in that space of your body, just below the nose, above the lip. Giving all importance to sensation. With the sense of presence that we're generating, we're going to grow that presence from just around the nose. We'll grow it to the face. What are the sensations I'm feeling on my face? Be really present with what is. Those sensations could be an itching, scratching, tingling, could be pain. These are all sensations. Let go of labeling them. Try and be present with what they are as your breath arises and passes. Letting that awareness grow a bit bigger to include the whole of the head. From the crown of your head all the way down to the base of your neck. What's alive in this area, just this area? Trying to be present with what truly is, and not what we would like it to be. The mind may wander from time to time. With a gentle holding awareness, bringing your mind back to just being in this moment. If it goes again, gently ask to be here. Equanimous with the sensations that are alive in your head as they are. And maintain the same level of focus, awareness, and presence